Welcome back to the Autry Benton Show. Today's guest is someone that I am very much looking forward to get to know better because I've heard nothing but good things about him all my life. He runs a very respected organization in our community, Autry HTC, Autry Telephone Cooperative. That's a mouthful, but we're looking forward to getting to know him. Carlton, thank you for joining us today.
Appreciate it, Autry. I appreciate you having me on and inviting me on. So thank you so much.
And I really mean that when I say that. Everything has so many good things to say about you, buddy, and you lead a first-class organization, man.
Well, to start with, I've got so many great people around me. Our organization is just unbelievable. We got great employees, and I wouldn't want to do the job I've got without all of them coming up around me and making it happen. So I'm just a part of the whole that makes it happen. So
we're going to get there, but I want to start out with this question. Did you ever think that you'd be the leader of the organization when you went to work there?
Absolutely not. You know, I went to work with HTC right out of college, and my background's on the financial side of things, so I was blessed to have an opportunity to step into the CFO role. And, you know, I thought that I would love to be in a position like that to help make decisions and, you know, be in a role like that. But to have the opportunity as the CEO was something that was, you know, very foreign at the time. So I've been blessed. There's timing's a factor of that and other things as well, but God's been good. So
yeah, that's good. Well, let's go way back. So where did you grow up at?
Sure. So I am a Ainer guy.
Yeah.
So born and raised in the little town of Ainer. Lived in the city limits, I'd say, you know, my early years to about, you know, turning a teenager, and then we moved to our family farm. My grandfather had a farm out a couple miles outside of Ainer, and I grew up there on the farm. So
yeah. So what'd you do as a kid? What were you into?
Yeah. So different things. You know, I was in my later and middle school and high school years, it was ball and, you know, played football and wrestled a little bit and did some things like that. So that kept me busy and tried to take care of grades and stuff too, all at the same time, you know, and then got to work a little bit on the farm too, you know, when I had downtime. So yeah. You know, got the benefits growing up on a farm and getting a little bit of the ingenuity piece of things, you know. Yeah. So I really enjoyed that. So
that's awesome. How about siblings? You got any siblings?
Yes, I got a sister. So real close to her. In fact, she stays beside me on the farm there. So we ended up building a home later and right there on the family farm, and she stays right beside us too. So my mother's on the other side of us. So a big family situation going on there.
Wow. So you always remember just growing up in Ainer and everybody's so friendly and knows everybody.
It is, and it's changing a good bit. Not that it's not friendly, but you used to know everybody, right? And so with the growth that our area's experienced over the last, you know, decade or two now, it's heavily populated. You're seeing a ton of growth. So, you know, that certainly comes with a lot of opportunity too.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Well, you know, you said school, but I mean, you're a smart guy. So, I mean, has school always been easy for you?
No, I wouldn't say. School was not my favorite thing growing up. I did pretty fine, but you know, those are things you look back at and say, well, I wish I'd applied myself a little bit more in this regard. Even in college, it was things that, you know, I probably brushed off a little bit more that I should have took a little bit more time and effort with, and you look back as an adult and said, you know, these things intrigued me and this is something I would like to study even more so, you know. So those are things you look back on and say, you know, I wish I'd have taken the opportunity to focus a little bit more at that time. But I had great people around me, and you know, it was always something that I aspired to make sure that, you know, I wanted education, I wanted that as a backdrop, but I knew that that wasn't the only thing that mattered. You know, there was a lot of other things that were very important to me too. So, and I guess that's it. So did you know in high school the direction you wanted to go? I mean, kind of, sort of? You know, so I was fairly good at math. And I was sort of an analytical guy, so I actually thought that I wanted to go in the engineering route. And so I actually started down that path and switched gears a little bit and got into business. And you know, when I you know, graduating from Ainer, that was a very small school, so I was thinking along those lines that, you know, I want to go somewhere a little bit larger, you know, a little bit bigger, since I came from a small high school, and ended up going to Clemson because of the ties back to engineering, and you know, and I did it in reverse. You know, a lot of folks go off, you know, stay local, then go off to college. You know, maybe they do a technical enrollment or something like that. But I actually went off to Clemson for 2 years and came back and finished at Coastal Carolina University.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So when did you change your track a little bit from engineering to business?
Yeah, so so I was at Clemson for 2 years. My last semester, I changed majors to finance.
Yeah.
And started dating my wife that was back home. She's an Ainer girl.
Yeah.
So I was like, Coastal has a renowned business school.
Yeah.
Why not, come back, finish up. I'm dating her. Things are going well there. And, come back home. I knew back home was where I wanted to be. So it just made a lot of sense for me.
Did you always know if you went off to school, you were coming back to Autry County?
Yes.
Yeah. There was no.
I didn't really ever have any anticipation that I wouldn't be back home. My grandfather was my hero growing up, and he was there on the farm, and I certainly wanted to be closer to the family and raise my family in the Ainer community and the Autry County community. So that was something that was always something that I knew that I wanted. Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about your grandfather, the things that you liked about him, why you loved him.
Yeah, man. So he was his name was Bill Jones, but I mean he was a glass man in Conway for a long time and semi-retired, and he built a shop out on the farm and actually did a little bit into his retirement as well. So I got the opportunity to work with him a good bit too. So he just taught me a lot about work ethic and, just all the good things that a grandfather typically, means to you. So I got to spend most of my adult life with him. I just lost him about 5 years ago. So he was 90. No, but he was 90, led a good life. So him and my grandmother were almost married 73 years, so it was amazing. So just
That's something to be
see
proud
them
of.
and to grow up around, my family like that, it was just very, very rewarding. So he taught me so many different things, and he was just a man's man type situation.
Yeah. That's great. That's great. So tell me about your wife.
Yeah. So my wife's Abigail Lewis, and she was a Johnson, her maiden name, and she was an Ainer girl too. She's a couple years behind me, but we dated. I was a couple years into college and started dating. So we've been married now 27 years almost, with 2 kids.
So did you know her in high school?
I did. So we joke that our history goes back to actually going to the same elementary school together.
Okay, that's great.
Midland Elementary, yeah. So we knew each other, and but didn't really start dating until her senior year in high school.
Okay.
So but we've been together ever since. So.
Were you a year older than her?
Yeah, a couple years.
I got you. Good.
That's right.
So when you came home, romance quickly blossomed?
Yeah, I'd say it did. We got fairly serious and dated for, I was at Coastal. She went to Coastal all 4 years of her college career as well. And when she graduated, we got married.
Oh, that's great.
So,
that's great.
yeah.
That's a good deal. I know you're a man of faith.
Yeah.
So talk about that.
Yeah, so I was saved at a pretty early age. So, of course, the grandparents had a lot to do with that. Got a lot of early memories of my grandmother reading Bible stories and just teaching me about the Lord. So I grew up at actually Cool Springs United Methodist or Southern Methodist Church back in the day. And then not too long after my children were born, we moved to Berea Baptist Church, and we've been there for pushing almost 20 years now.
Wow, that's great.
So I served as a deacon there and currently still serve as church treasurer and involved in different things. We were able, when our kids were coming up, to be involved in a lot of youth activities and helping with the youth, and we always enjoyed that, watching the youth participate in things and learn about the Lord. And the Lord's really blessed us having a great church community. And when we were looking for a new church, I say all the time that, we didn't know what we were going to do when we were leaving. Not that anything was wrong, but just things were different, and we were looking for a new church home. And, I told my wife, we pulled out to drive one day, and I said, you want to turn left or right for Sunday morning, to find out where you want to go. And we did have some my grandmother's had some history with her family being at Berea, and Berea was one of the areas that we visited and walked in the door, and it was just like family, just everybody really warm and welcoming, and we were like, we found where we need to be, where the Lord's leading us to be. So
that's great. Yeah. So tell me about your kids.
Yeah, so 2 kids. I've got a daughter, Claire, that's 24, and she's actually engaged to be married. Her wedding's going to be in November of this year.
Congratulations.
So we're in the middle of wedding planning at this time. So
that's real fun, ain't it?
Yeah, that's right.
Real
that's
expensive.
Right. Yeah. I'm cringing just a little bit on what that's going to look like. But they're pretty practical and trying to keep a lid on some of that. So, but we're excited about that. And a fine young man that she's marrying, been together for a long time, and he grew up in church with us and everything too. And then my son is just finishing up college at Presbyterian College. So he's graduating next weekend, this coming weekend.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah,
Well,
so he played football
happen.
there, and so we've been on the road watching him play for the last 4 years, and it's just went by so quick.
How fun was that, buddy?
It was great. It was great. You know, a lot of different things, and certainly trying to accomplish getting an education, but the grind of football and practice and the time constraints of that. But it worked really well for him. I actually think that it was a good exercise to keep him focused. And
yeah.
But he's got a job in Columbia now, so we're trying to get him situated and figure that out. So
what does that look like? What kind of profession is he in?
So he looks like he's going to land in the energy business a little bit. So
okay, awesome.
He's got an opportunity with Central Electric in Columbia, so
okay,
going to be working with them, and you know, he's excited about that, so we're excited for him. But
did it surprise you that he didn't come back to Autry County, or just how the opportunity was?
It's just how the opportunity, you know, he's certainly open to anything, but he was wanting to find a good job, and he's certainly dating a little girl that's got another year at PC, so that keeps him still a little close there too, you know, not too far from that area, but anyway, you know, I told his mother, I said, well, at least he's still in the state of South Carolina and we can get to him quick, you know.
That's
so,
great.
You know, we're thankful. My daughter's in Autry County with us, so, you know, we're glad to have her close too.
Yeah.
But, you know, both.
What's she into? What's her next step?
So she's, you know, the funny thing is both of them went into business. My daughter went into finance, so that's my background, and she had an opportunity with Autry County State, not Autry County State Bank, that's the old bank, Anderson Brothers.
Yeah.
So she's plugged in with Anderson Brothers on the corporate side of things, and she's really enjoying that.
That's
working at a great, you know, financial institution, and then. You know, my son he got his undergraduate in data analytics on the business side.
Yeah.
So both of them are sort of on that finance, you know, business side of things. So.
Yeah. This is kind of off the cuff question. You know, being a father of girls too, it's kind of hard to let your little girl go, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. Did he come have the talk with you?
He did. And you know, I'm not looking forward to that piece of it. You know, as a father, you always want you know, that individual to be somebody that comes close to maybe loving your daughter like you do. But so I know that he does in that way. But from a daddy standpoint, I'm not looking forward to that moment because I know it's going to be very, very tough to do that. But again, I am, you know, I have a lot of comfort in knowing that
he's a good man.
He's a good man. He loves her. So
that's good. That's good. You know, I've told the story here before. When I got married to my wife, after it was over, her daddy was in the back crying and hugging her, and I said, "What's wrong with that fella there?" You know, like
you understand now maybe a little bit of what that might look like.
Oh boy, do I understand. You know, for sure. Wow, well, that's great.
Yeah.
So, what's some marriage advice you'd give to our listeners? You know.
Well, you know, one of the things that I do think that I had, and I mentioned it earlier with having my grandparents around and them having almost 73 years together. I mean, they were such an inspiration to us that we were able to see and just but, you know, there's so much with marriage around the wedding and everything because we're in the middle of it that it's a big production. You know, things have really escalated to a bigger deal, and social media is part of that and some other things. But when it comes down and the rubber hits the road, it's going to be compromise and learning to grow with each other over time. And you know, there's going to be trials and there's going to be things that come up, and you have to learn to love each other through that and grow. And that's just, and keeping God first. I mean, because you can't do those other things without Him.
Yeah.
But you know, that's just what I would say is it's a journey.
Yeah.
But it's been a sweet one.
Yeah. You know, Carlton, you said it too. I don't know how people do it without the Lord, man. It's tough, buddy. It's tough, you know, for sure. But it's a great thing. You know, I think some people look at marriage through negative eyes, but it's the Lord's plan, and it is a beautiful thing. Not easy, but it is a great thing.
Absolutely.
For sure. All right, what's some parenting advice?
Parenting advice. So, You know, that's a journey too, right? So there was things that I thought early on. I mean, one of the things that you know, I thought maybe as a new father was, you know, well, my kids are going to be this way, and they're going to listen this way, and they're both going to be this way, and they're different. Their personalities are different. Every kid's different, and you have to learn to handle each situation and each kid a little differently. I don't know if you've seen the same kind of thing. And it's just that blew my mind early on as a young parent. And just learn where you you know, what battles you camp on to face, and what you need to be a little bit more flexible and compromise on. There was things that, you know, early on I was probably a little bit more rigid on, and you know, there was some things I was like, well, these are the things I'm going to hold tight on, and these are the things that, you know, maybe they're not quite as big a deal as they, you know, I made them out to be. So I had to learn to ebb and flow a little bit like that.
The one thing I know about you is just sitting this little time with you, I can see that you're very approachable, you know, and I know you've spoken into a lot of your family's life or whatever, and man, I can already see that you're a wise man that people come to you, man. And how important is it to speak to, you know, the next generation or people that need to be approachable?
I think it's important. I mean, when I look at all the different influences in my life, parents, grandparents, school teachers back in the day, coaches, all of them shaped me, and you know, I've learned to dig down at different times in my life when I needed something and draw off of those times. And if those individuals wouldn't have been willing to pour into me, then I wouldn't have those things that I need today. And I think that is important, going back to that next generation, which is, if we don't pour into this next generation and love our children and those around them, and this next generation coming up, you know, workers, this next generation coming into the workforce, then they're going to miss out on those opportunities to learn and gain some insight that we were able to pass down from generation to generation. So,
yeah, that's good. That's good. So coming out of college, did you know you want to go to HTC, or did you apply there? Tell me that story.
So there was a little bit of that. I mean, I certainly, you know, you got to back up and to 30 years now, because I've been at HTC almost 29, and you know, coming out of college, or you know, coming from high school to college locally, if you wanted to work for an organization, there was, you know, there was less opportunity than I would say today because of all the growth that we've had. But HTC was one of those organizations at the top that I had my sights set on, and say, if I want a career and work somewhere, that would be a great place. And I had, you know, the funny thing is, even back in the day, my other grandfather ran a little hardware store in Autry when I was growing up. And you don't hear the name anymore, but it was a Western Auto.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I did a little bit of work there growing up, you know, during high school, and doing some things there too. But the Western Auto was actually a place in the Autry community that would take payments for HTC. So there was a little bit of time there when I was a teenager that I actually, you know, took some payments for HTC through the hardware store there. So a little bit of foretelling, I think, into a future career there. But we had a lot of ties there, and really HTC was a great organization. And you know, I went to work there in 1998, and just had some fabulous people around me, some great mentors too, and just you know, my career took off, and just really enjoyed everything that I was given the opportunity to do there. So,
what was your first position? Did you go into finance?
I did. I was fortunate to go right into a finance type position. It was an entry-level type finance position as an analyst, though. Okay. And that's what I did. So our business was changing a good bit at the time. It was a little bit more like what I would say maybe the energy business is, a little bit more, you know, you've got your area and this is what you serve, but the telecommunications industry at the time was really changing and being very competitive and open, and deregulated to some degree. So very competitive, so we were doing a lot of analytical analysis on new opportunities and places to serve and how we would grow. So we got a lot of opportunity to do that on a ground floor level with the co-op.
So you have really witnessed major growth in your career.
Right. We were a telecommunications company, and now we're a fiber communications broadband company. So.
Can we tell our listeners a little bit more about early years HTC, kind of how it started? I mean. So
the great thing that the listeners need to understand from HTC is we are a co-op, which makes us completely unique. And the neat thing is, we're, from a communications co-op perspective, we're the largest in the country. A lot of people don't know that.
The largest in the country.
In the country.
That's
Yeah,
impressive.
Yeah,
man.
yeah. And so we've grown up with this area, and we've just had tremendous growth. We started in 1952, so there was a need for telecommunications and telephone service per se, and a lot of the for-profit companies would not serve a lot of the territories in our market, and a lot of local community leaders came together and said, we're going to create a co-op and we're going to serve this market for the benefit of the members. And so that was our heritage. And when I came to work in 1998, we were providing telephone service and dial-up internet service. We were one of the first ones to provide traditional dial-up internet service and video services, and then we later added wireless services and security services, and then certainly the old dial-up became broadband and high-speed internet access. So we've had just a tremendous transition over the last almost 3 decades that I've been there, and I've been able to see a lot of it. But we're a not-for-profit organization, so when we operate, we're either investing back into our infrastructure for the benefits of our members, or we're investing in our community that we live in, or we're giving it all back to our members.
Man,
so
that's a
the way
beautiful
it works.
model.
Yeah,
beautiful
it is, absolutely. We've got all the challenges of a traditional for-profit competitive organization, but we're able to operate in a way that just solely benefits the members and those that we serve.
And HTC is so ingrained in our community. I mean, you can go anywhere and do it. So thank y'all for all y'all do for the community.
Yeah, well, we're proud of it. It's an opportunity. I mean, we say all the time that we've got 600 plus employees, and they work here, their families work here. We want this to be a better community, and we feel like it's a mandate that we have from our members to serve this community in this way. Communications is very competitive, and if we don't show up and differentiate ourselves in that way as the local community provider that is entrenched in this community, I mean, that's what it's all about. And we certainly, it's where I live and work and grew up, and I want to see it prosper and continue to grow and succeed. So that's what we're here to make happen.
Well, good. Well, it's a great organization. Going back to you coming in entry level, kind of give me some progressions like through the years, kind of what that looked like.
Yeah, so I came in as a financial analyst and had a couple opportunities to step in supervision with overseeing a few departments here and there, and worked up into supervising our financial and decision analysis department. And then I got the opportunity at the CFO job when my predecessor there retired. So, I mean, timing always makes a difference as well, in that. That was around the 2012, 2013 time frame. And then, so I served HCC as its CFO for a good decade or so, roughly there. And then...
did you enjoy that position?
I did. I really did. I mean, it's probably... I'm a financial guy, so I was probably cut out for that. I've had to grow a lot over that time frame, and then even stepping into CEO role. It's a different role. I enjoy it, and I've got great people that work with me and for me in the other particular roles, and it allows me to do things that I still enjoy to do a lot, but it is a different role. And so being a CEO and having that responsibility, something you've got to take it very seriously, and to how you continue to lead the organization and develop yourself and where we need to be strategically. But at the same time, you can't dwell on it but so much, because I can sit there and look and say, I can't believe I've got this opportunity and this burden, but at the same time, I get to share that burden because, like I said, it's the crowd around me that makes things happen. And we do it together, and it's just a great team situation.
And you kind of hit on it, but going from maybe just the numbers to the operation, when did you get more knowledge of the whole organization? I know you know how it works, but like, is that question?
Well, having to do some of the decision analysis that we did early on, you got into the operational side, because in order to price things and make those kind of decisions, you got to know how the guts of things work. But my predecessor in the CEO role, I got to work with him a lot over that last decade prior to stepping in the role, and he was more of the engineering mindset. So we really tag team on a lot of different things, and he would pull me in a direction sometimes, and I'd pull him in a direction sometimes, but it grew us both. And certainly he was a good mentor of mine, and helped prepare me for this role as well.
So what is something you look for in your leaders around you? What's something you like to see in them?
So, it's something that I have fostered and have looked for that into my team is teamwork.
Okay.
I've seen different things at different times that's made it more difficult for folks to work together. You know, you've got to have the competency, you've got to have all these things in place, but you've got to have people that are willing to come together to make things happen for the sake of the organization. And that's what I've got in the team that I've got. So that has certainly been a big attribute to a team member that I have looked for, along with a lot of other things. But that's key to getting done the things we need to get done.
I got you.
Yeah.
And say an employee that comes to work for your organization day one, what's the one thing you would tell that employee that to be successful here, this is what you need to do?
Well, you know, I would translate that into a little bit of what I thought helped make me successful,
Okay.
which was from day one, I was proud of the organization and I treated it like it was my organization. You know, that the decisions that I made or the decisions I helped provide data for decision makers to make, you know, I treated it in such that what if this was my organization? You know, how would I look at this? How would I, you know, I operated in that. It wasn't just a job, it seemed to be a career for me, and I wanted to you can't be overly cautious, but at the same time you need to you know, develop and cultivate, you know, your drive and ambition to really focus and center it around what's good for the organization. And to me, when I focused that way, it was a good handshake. The organization took care of me, and I took care of the organization.
Yeah.
And I think just coming into an organization, and so many things are different today than it used to be. But you see a lot of what's the organization going to do for me? And the organization should do a lot for you. It's taking care of my family. It's been a good livelihood for me. But I had to give back as well and do my part. And I think you've got to be able to do that. Yeah.
Good advice. So what does Carlton like to do when he's just relaxing? And what's something you're looking forward in the future? Like, what's the future look like for you?
Yeah, looking forward is you know, I haven't done as much lately as I used to like to do. I used to like to hunting, fishing a little bit. You know, I had kids growing up. We did a little bit of ball, and you know, there was basketball and baseball and softball and football and everything else. So that took a lot of time and energy away from traditional hobbies. But maybe getting back to a little bit of hunting and fishing. Like to play the guitar a little bit, things like that.
Wow, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, I'm not great. I just like to strum a little bit. I picked that up in college when I should have been studying maybe a little bit more than I
Do you play in church some?
I have done that a little bit more. I used to play a little bit for my daughter to sing some in church, but I can't get her to sing as much as she used to, and so I don't get to do that as much.
Well, next time you bring your guitar.
Well, maybe so. Maybe. You don't know what you're getting into.
I'm sure you're very good. That's good. That's good. That's so. Like, you gonna go a while longer? HTC?
I'm 29 years now, so got some few years ahead of me for retirement eligibility and those things. But it's been a great career, and it is a great organization to work for.
That's great.
And just proud of what we've been able to accomplish and the group of employees that we've got making it happen.
Good. Well, I want to thank you for coming today. Thank you for the great organization you lead, and thank you for what HTC does for our area.
Yeah,
I'm grateful.
Thank you for having me, buddy.
Thank you for joining us.
It's great being here.